Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing well today. Thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. I hope you guys got a chance to watch the fights. There were so many fights on this weekend. It's hard to keep up. In fact, I've got to actually say, look, apologies for not getting out the Latino night prediction card. I was supposed to do that. I mentioned I would do it. I just ran out of time, you know, to get to all the fights and watch all the fights before, so I could understand how each fighter was doing and how they were performing on, like, it was just too much. So, you know, I really wanted to get it done, but obviously I did a couple of videos before that. I made a video about the Serrano Taylor fight. We're going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about all the rehab cards in this. I'm going to pull up as much footage as I can and just to give you my thoughts on that. But just know I already had that in mind. I wanted to do it. I just ran out of time. But let's start with Oscar Collazo, who was basically, honestly, if you watched all the fights, he probably stole the show in terms of his performance. Ramirez performed really well, Zordo, but Collazo was like tremendous. I mean, I can't pronounce the guy's name who he fought, but he is a tremendous fighter. Obviously, minimum weight champion, WBC champion. I think it's WBC or WBO. Coming off a good performance before where he actually got rocked against Zepeda, and he's got such good balance and such good poise. He able to kind of stay on his feet, came through the adversity, ended up getting the win. But in this fight, he still looks and sounds like $1 million. You know, he really does. He's with Collazo Promotions, complete fighter, really. He can box off the back foot. He's got that fluidity. He's got that power, that passion. He is going to be, and he said actually post-fight that he was going to try to bring some life to the 105-pound division. Now, I'm not one for really knowing much about this division or much of the fighters, but he's one that got me into it a little bit, you know. So I hope he can generate a bit more interest, because if he was a welterweight, he'd probably be a star right now. Let's just be honest. But great kid, great performance. Caught I forget the guy's name. He caught him with a beautiful right check hook, right? Check hook, where he was coming back. Part of a check hook is the defense after you throw the hook, right? You're getting off the line, and both times he's pivoting out. Caught him, dropped him in the fourth, I think, and then dropped him again in the sixth.
Backing up just like this as you see our jabbers stand.
With the same punch, and then ended up the barrage. I think it was the 7th or 8th with some body work too.
This would be. Oscar Collazo is now the WBO and WBA middleweight champion.
Powerful puncher, sensational performance, really was. And you know, he was very spirited in the post-fight reaction, and you know, that was probably the performance of the night. If you look at how dominant he was, knocking out a guy that never been stopped in that fashion on that stage, he barely put a foot wrong. And he's going to be an exciting one to watch for the future, because in the next video, the next fight he has, I will definitely do a pre-fight film for him, because I wanted to do one for him for the whole card. But as I said, just ran out of time. But great performance from him. And next on that card, let me just talk about the Serrano Taylor, or Taylor Serrano 2, which was, you know, last night on Friday I was actually working, right? So where I'm a DJ, and where I'm working, I'll show you the pictures. I've got the big screen there and there's a TV there, and I'm trying to work at the same time. So I couldn't really watch it like that, right? So then I watched the highlights or whatever kind of shady copy there was. So it wasn't like ideal. But obviously what I saw was Serrano definitely landing the harder shots, hurting Katie Taylor.
Able to time that. And there again, nice shot. Serrano Taylor here in round one. Serrano's power on display.
There was some ebb and flows. I don't think that performance, from what I saw, was a robbery, but I wouldn't have given that win to Katie Taylor. I had maybe Serrano winning 1 or 2 rounds, but I've got to watch it properly with you know, sound off, no commentary, full, so I can really judge it. But over the course of 2 fights, she's definitely been duped. You know, it's sad, especially with all the headbutting situation going on. Well, not to mention, if you talk about punch stats, she had something like the record amount of punch stats, 109 punches landed more. Normally, I would look at punch stats, and if it's like 40 or 50. It can tell a story, don't get me wrong, but when it's that many, that many, and she's a harder puncher too, powerful. You know, Taylor was having her moments with this hand speed, and she was also having her moments with that check hook, which is something I spoke about in the pre-fight.
62, 48, 40 pounds.
The pre-fight breakdown, I was like, Taylor's got a beautiful little check hook which she was landing, because Serrano drops her hand as she comes in to try and land that left. Another thing Katie Taylor was doing really well, I'll get onto the headbutts in a minute because I've got loads of footage to show you that I think, with all the evidence you're watching, that these were absolutely deliberate attempts to consistently hit her in the head with her head, and it's shameful, really. I'll show you the clips, and if there are some fans of Katie Taylor, if you're not willing to look at the evidence and actually suggest that, oh, maybe that was a little bit dirty, then I don't know what to say. You're not gonna, you know, we're not gonna ever see eye to eye, because it's just not even about that. It's about, this channel's about being honest and being unbiased and telling the truth about what is. And I'll show you some footage, as I said. But Taylor was also doing this nice thing where, in the fight breakdown, I said Amanda Serrano has got that back left hand, which is her money shot. And they found a way around getting landed on by that shot, Taylor's team did, because they were ducking down. I'll show you some clips right now.
And now a special message from Jamie Foxx and Cameron Diaz about
clinching.
man.
Serrano.
They saw that left hand coming in and they were ducking underneath it. That was definitely an adjustment that they made, which was I feel like Serrano could have done a bit better with her creativity and her offense. But that being said, I think she still outlanded and did enough to win the fight, definitely. Was it a robbery? Like I said, I'd love to go back and actually watch it in the cold light of day properly. But given all the headbutts and given the outlanded, you know, and the fact that Serrano kept fighting and didn't really make too much of a fuss about it, you know, I know she threw out like an accusation which she since refuted on Twitter. She's a warrior, man. She's just a beautiful human being for not retaliating like that and just getting you know, just going about her business in a champion way, while you've got someone actively trying to headbutt you before the headbutt actually even happened. Let me show you these clips, right? Which was between rounds 1 and 4. I think the headbutt happened in round 4. And you can see consistently Taylor's head just constantly keeps moving towards Serrano's eye or head area consistently. Like, there's no reason for you to move your head towards someone else's head that often, that many times, that blatantly.
60 seconds.
Katie has to pass her hands when those combinations she thought.
I mean, this is just evidence right here. Just look at it. And then when the actual headbutt, if the actual headbutt happened and it was a one-off and that was the only time, or there was one other times, you could say, you know what? It could have been a little weird moment there, like a little clash of heads. You know, it didn't look so deliberate. But when there's all these other frames of headbutting going on, what else are you supposed to think? That's just blatant attempts to try to land your head onto someone's face, and that is wrong. That's shameful. She got deducted a point. She could have been disqualified. That ain't boxing. It's not a boxing move. And it was from my eyes. There was some clips where she was all the way down here and just somehow landed, like ended up right by Serrano's head. You know, it's just repeated disgusting boxing tactics, to be honest. So those are my thoughts on that.
Ariel Helwani in the Serrano corner.
Jordan, you just said Katie is so dirty. Please expand.
Dirty. She leads with her head, man. She's such a nice person outside, but she goes in there and she's so dirty. A lot of her opponents have been cut, head-butted. She leads with her head, man. That's her best attribute.
How concerned are you with the cut?
It's bad. You know, it impairs your vision. Amanda's a warrior, little warrior coming up, fighting the so-called best in the world. And all she could do is fucking headbutt and hold. That's why she got a point taken off.
I thought Serrano won by a round or two, landing the harder shots, hurting Taylor more. In the exchanges, actually in the pre-fight thing, I said, don't exchange if you're Taylor because you're not as powerful. But I think she probably didn't respect Serrano's power later on because she started exchanging way more. And the exchanges were pretty even. You know, she probably had the faster hands, but you know, she was getting outlanded, and the more powerful shots were coming from Serrano. So I don't know. It's a shame. You know, that Netflix I don't know if you guys had issues with the buffering. I was watching it and it kept stalling, and the owner kept having to reboot the Netflix thing. It was a bit of a disastrous streaming attempt, really. But I thought the production was pretty good, to be honest. But anyway, that's that. Big up to Amanda Serrano. You know, she's a warrior. She'll probably go back. I mean, she's went up 3 weight classes. She's a featherweight champ, so she'll be fine. And do they do a third one? I mean, I think also Serrano came out way more calculated. I thought she was going to let her hands go more and be more aggressive, which she was aggressive, but I thought she'd just be a bit more like the first one. But she was a bit more smart, a bit more calculated with her aggression. But anyway, would they do a third? I don't know. It's I honestly don't know. I think that Taylor should be ashamed of herself for doing that. You know, she really should be. And Serrano's coach went off on her a little bit, you know, rightfully so.
Because when you're getting headbutted repeatedly and the ref is, I'm doing what, he didn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of headbutting. Amanda Serrano has 50 fights. The first time she ever got cut was the first fight with Katie Taylor. If you look at Katie Taylor's fights, you'll see a lot of her opponents have gone on with grotesque swelling in their head. Look at the way Chantel Cameron looked. Cuts in their face. She fought Nina Ment. They stopped the fight on cuts, headbutt. So that's nothing new. That's what they do. They lead with their head.
And you know, quickly, Eddie Hearn too posted, oh, you know, smash and grab, we got the win and all that. And there was nobody, not one person in the comments would even dare bring up, oh yeah, well, you know, she could have done better with the head. You know, nobody. That's not boxing, man. That isn't boxing. To ramming your head into your opponent's head. Anyway, enough about that. Let's move on. I hope, you know, Serrano's eye cleans up and she can get whatever fight she wants. But Ramirez versus Billum Smith was a very good fight, okay? Before this, I was thinking Ramirez might just do enough with enough cuter skills and just more volume, but he was, you know, clearly outclassed Billum Smith. Billum Smith looked absolutely exhausted in the 6th round, actually.
Stairs from Zoto. A deep breath from CBS. It's just very strange.
Just didn't have the crispness on his shots. He didn't have the IQ to hang there. He didn't have the timing. Ramirez had some nice timing, using angles, sharp, sneaky little left hands in there consistently.
For that right to the body. Good work again from Ramirez. Oh, and a cracker on the left hand.
And he just, you know, he fought Smith too. Smith didn't really know how to fight a southpaw, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? It's not really his style to box like that. I know he's a bit of a brawler, kind of a rugged, physical guy, you know. But that's about all he is. Gets himself in tremendous shape. He's a great asset to the sport because he's, you know, his nickname's the Gentleman, and he's a gentleman, and he comes to fight, he puts on a show. Respect to him. But in terms of skill sets and IQ, you know, it's very low, and that showed in this fight, and that showed in the levels really, because Ramirez had a fairly, I don't say easy, maybe he made it look easy, but convincing win with just a higher skill set. A tough dude as well, Ramirez, you know, but Billum Smith, like I said, he looked exhausted in the 6th. Ran out of ideas. His punches didn't have any crispness on him. He was just throwing punches like without any accuracy. Was pretty poor.
Dip onto the punches of Smith and punch
Fights. As light heavyweight, he finished with stoppages.
Well, if he gets one here, he's going to have to soften up the body of the big man.
And, you know, he hung in there, fought bravely, but maybe it's a good thing he didn't fight Opetaia, because standing straight up like that without any head movement in the middle against a hard hitting southpaw that shoots the shots right down the line, that could have been brutal. But we'll see. Maybe Ramirez called out Opetaia after, so I know Opetaia might be tied up with either the fight he's been ordered with or with that other guy that's got the, I don't know, it might be the WBC belt actually. I'll put his name up on the screen. So I'll do a video on that if I can find out what's happening with Opetaia's next fight. But that was a decent scrap, and that was for the unification for Smith's belt. So Ramirez is now the unified cruiserweight champion of the world. Congrats to him. Moving on to the other Ramirez, Jose Ramirez versus Arnold Barboza. Good win for Barboza. He looked tidy with his work.
Oh, nice right hand followed by a left hook for Barboza.
You know, he kept within himself. He used his jab nicely, he used the ring nicely. He was boxing very nicely, like kind of just...
Again.
Defense was actually pretty good, pretty sharp in the corners when he needed to.
Follow that strategy to the end.
And he got a little bit creative when he needed to. Like there was one time where he feinted the jab, threw a 2, and then threw a 1. Really cleanly, beautiful shot. He was throwing a 1-2-1 quite a lot of the time. Never got greedy. You know, just he boxed a really good fight, to be honest with you. Ramirez lacked that ferocity. He lacked that passion, and he lacked body punching as well. He lacked combination punching when he could, but a lot of that was down to Barboza. He used his legs very well, and he used his movement very well, and his jab very well, and he boxed a really good fight, you know, and he's going to be definitely in there with a decent fight at 140 at least, giving a good fighter something competitive, something to think about, because he comes very well prepared, and you know he's intelligent and he can stick to a game plan. You know, he's very disciplined in there. And that's what it takes when you're fighting a pressure fight and you've got more skills than them. You don't want to get dragged into their fight, and you want to keep moving, keep jabbing, keep doing the little things a lot of the time for the whole fight. And he did that. I thought he boxed really well and deserved the win. And hopefully he can get, I know he's been waiting a long time. I know he talked about that post-fight where he's been paying these sanctioning fees and he's had a hard time with the WBA. I think he even apologized to them or something. I don't know exactly what was going on, but I think he sounds like he really deserves a title shot or deserves, you know, a big fight. You know, that's what all big fighters that are kind of scratching to the top all really looking for, is a fight that can help change their life and support their family and, you know, get the prize that they've been digging for for their whole life, basically. Congrats to him. Now, Tevin Farmer put up a brave, spirited effort against William Zepeda. Post-fight, this was another one where I was thinking, damn, I was watching pre-fight, excuse me, watching Tevin Farmer in the lead-up. I follow his coach, Mustafa's Boxing. He's on Instagram. Amazing Instagram channel. If you're trying to learn about boxing, and some of the posts he put up is amazing, and he was putting up a lot of stuff with Tevin Farmer. I could hear and see how hard he was training and how dedicated and how self-believed they were. And I was like, that's a tricky fight for Zepeda. This could be like, you know, I don't think Tevin Farmer could win, but he's had a little resurgence lately. He took 3 years off after being extremely active, and maybe that three years off has done him a world of good, because he looked really good, especially early on. I had it pretty even up until the 4th, like 2-1, and then he dropped Zepeda in the 4th.
Catch and shoot shot from Farmer. Spoke too soon.
With a beautiful shot, and actually, if you look, just like when you're slipping, he just slipped neatly, just very, very small slip like that, just enough. But because he slipped so shortly, it allowed him to shoot back quickly as well. And the longer you slip, the longer time you're going to take to get that shot back. But it was just a beautiful little slip. Zepeda's glove went to the side, bang, caught him bang on the chin with a left hand. It was a great shot. And Tevin Farmer took a tremendous amount of not punishment, but a lot. He was getting a lot. I mean, he was fighting Zepeda, do you know what I mean? He really wasn't on the run.
637 punches thrown for Zepeda, which is outrageous. 418, pretty darn good.
Too much. He really gritted it out, had that Philly fighting style, and he was there trying to fight Zepeda, and you got to respect it, and he fought a hell of a fight. Maybe came up a little short, maybe. I wasn't scoring it like that, and I was definitely in and out. Also, there was so much boxing on, I wasn't watching it from start to finish, but I did watch solidly most of that fight, but not enough to really score it round by round and then go through, you know, I was just like trying to get entertainment from it. But from what I saw, it looked like Zepeda just did enough, but Tevin Farmer's still going to be in the mix, and he's still going to be a handful for the top lightweights, I think. And he might even win. He might, if he gets a title shot, maybe against Baranchek, or, you know, who knows? I think he could, at the very least, put up a very good fight. And respect to Tevin Farmer for being a professional that he is and putting on the fights that he's doing at this. I say this age, he's not that old, but like I said, the 3 years out probably did him a world of good. And, you know, He put up a great fight. It was a decent little scrap. This is a great card. That's a really great card. I enjoyed that whole card. I feel like I'm missing one. Oh, you know, there was Kenny Sims Jr. actually was supposed to fight Oscar Duarte, and unfortunately for him, I think he pulled out. He had an injury. That's a disappointing maneuver for him, because I've always rated him as a talent in 140, and he had a good opportunity to really show it against Duarte, who obviously lost to Garcia, but that'd have been a good win, and then, you know, he's looking to really get that world title shot soon. So I was disappointed for him, to be honest. I was really looking forward to seeing him fight. I think he's tremendous. Anyway, that is it, right? I'm pretty sure I covered all the fights. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. To be honest with you, I wasn't interested in this fight whatsoever. And actually, as I was working and I got done working, the fight was about half an hour away. And I said to the manager, I was like, do you want me to stay on and like play while the fight's on? And he's like, it's up to you. If you want to go, you can go. And I just wanted to go home. I didn't really want to. Turns out, someone there asked me just to hang out and just have a beer after. I was like, okay, I'll have one beer. And I ended up watching it, but it's kind of exactly what I thought it would be. Jake Paul running around, using his like legs, which is okay, and just using his youth, and he was just like, I wasn't really watching the fight. I was just catching up with this guy. Yeah, I wasn't interested. Not for me, really, to be honest. But it was what it was. Anyway, let me know your thoughts, guys, on all these fights, and let me know who you had winning and why, and if you agree with me on the Serrano situation, because there's so much evidence to see. And also on her, I made a video about her punch technique, right? The scientific look, and I'm going to play this track that I made, but Rafael Rivera, El Hijo Prodigo, he sent me the lyrics. He actually made the original, and then he let me remix it. So that's going to be this track. Link up here for the scientific views on her punches. Hopefully she'll be back. I know she'll be back. She's a warrior. And then that's it from me. Peace and love to all. Have a great week. Thank you.
Rafael Rivera. Yeah.
Boxing.
La chica manda. De Brooklyn a Carol.
La chica manda, manda como ve en el ring. La campeona de mi tierra, bella, mi laborinqueña está orgullosa de ella. Amanda Serrano, bella, es la mejor libra por libra. Vaya a ver y usted como la champion de Brooklyn pelea. La chica manda. La chica manda. La chica manda. La chica manda. Boxing.